So you said that you have some takes that are very different to the consensus right now. Does that extend to the quarterback position? Because we've been saying it's actually amazing how chalky the
Mhm.
quarterback rankings are right now. Everyone, we can kind of disagree on like where the tiers are and who belongs with who, but generally it seems to be the same order.
Yeah, Steve's heard my crazy quarterback take so far. My quarterback 3 in this class is Dillon Gabriel, which
I love it.
I've not seen anyone else have. I more just think I think after Cam Ward, I think Shedeur could be an NFL starter. I'm not sure he's ever going to be an elite NFL starter, but I think he very well could be. He's obviously like he's super tough. Like that's a great skill to have him project to the next level, and he's accurate. I think those two traits will serve him well. I think he could be a starter, but I don't see him as like high end physical tools that I'm going to go to bat for in the first round. After those two, I'm not sure there's a single guy who I'm like, he can operate. I like feel good about him operating an NFL offense, right? Where I'm just like, I feel good about him being a starter. Outside of Dillon Gabriel, I think he can start in the NFL. Will he be good? I don't think he's ever going to be a top 10, even top 12 quarterback in the NFL, but I think he could be like Brock Purdy. I think he could, just based off his college tape, he's got better tools than Purdy does. Obviously, Purdy is not, he's slightly taller, but not too much taller. Until Gabriel's played a ton of football. A very similar sort of career arc, too, where just like true freshman year, this guy was a stud. High school, the guy was a stud. The guy's dad was a quarterback. He's been doing this forever. And really the only reason not to like him is that he's 5'10.5". So that's my quarterback 3. So that's probably does extend the quarterback position.
We were talking about this earlier. Like because he's short, people assume that he doesn't have physical tools, but he's athletic and he's got a cannon. Like his arm is good. I mean, we're going to be doing our quarterback rankings next week, and it's not. I haven't finalized things yet, but on my first rough draft, I have him at QB4, so I'm not a million miles away.
There we go. I mean, he's not. He is interesting. I'm not like really going to bat for him wholesale, but he has a strong arm. And who was it against? I was trying to think of it off the top of my head. He had like a 60-yard run this past year where he was running away from linebackers. He's an athlete, and he knows how to use it, and he can throw on the move well. I mean, it's one of his biggest strengths. So one of the best deep balls in this draft class. You saw at the combine, he had, when they were doing the go balls, the real deep drills, his arm was right up there with anyone else's. He had one like go 65 yards through the air. That's real deal NFL arm talent, in my opinion.
Talking Dillon Gabriel from Oregon, I want to follow up on that because after watching Shedeur Sanders and Jaxson Dart, and by the way, I've got a little PTSD saying, here's what I saw on film. Is this true? Because of the Matthew Golden thing, where Matthew Golden, I thought, was a 4.45 guy and he ran 4.29. We could talk about that later as well. But I'm watching Jaxson Dart and Shedeur Sanders. I'm like, I don't think either guy's that twitchy, dynamic, not a great athlete. Both guys try to evade the rush, and they're not that great at it. But then I watched Dillon Gabriel avoid the rush when he needs to. He had that game-winning run against Ohio State where he ran through the secondary. And he had, when you talk about the arm strength, the first game against Ohio State, he goes far hash. Denzel Burke, the corner for Ohio State, got torched in that game. But that poor guy was like, oh, this guy, Gabriel's not going to make this throw. It's a go ball from the far hash. He throws it about 55 yards in the air, like you're talking about. Far hash mark go ball in stride to Tez Johnson. I'm like, dude, this dude zips it. After watching Jaxson Dart and Shedeur Sanders not have a great zip on the ball. They're fine arm-wise. I don't think they have great RPMs. Don't think they're that twitchy in the pocket. And I thought Dillon Gabriel had both of those things where he looked pretty athletic from a footwork perspective and, had some zip on the ball.
Yeah, I do think his tools are plus. They're probably he has better tools than Bryce Young coming out. And obviously Bryce Young had better on-field performance, but I would love for him to go back up like Kyler Murray or Bryce Young and just like you go from one short quarterback to, you operate the same offense. There's obviously things you can't do with a quarterback that short, but like he comes in, there's no change. You call the same plays, you do the same stuff.
I think we're going to end up.
I saw people wanting to put him with Tua, just to have two lefties in the same quarterback room.
I could see it. I mean, I think he'll put Tua's arm strength to shame, but another short quarterback. He called himself. I interviewed him at the combine, and that was actually the other thing that really like sold me on him was his personality wise. He is very all ball, all business, very cool, calm, and collected. Like any room he's in, he's the guy that everyone's like gravitating towards. And he said like he drove a white minivan at Oregon, and he'd pick all his receivers up to go to practice every day. He was the one like getting him out of bed, going to practice. So very much a leader of men sort of guy.
One thing I'll add on Gabriel, I think we'll end up just going position by position here and just kind of going right into, your favorite players and going through there. But Dillon Gabriel, obviously one of them. I think he's one of mine too. I love the way he just sits in there and goes through progressions with good footwork. And we don't see that often at the college level. That part, there's a lot of parts of his game that remind me of other quarterbacks. That part reminds me of CJ Stroud, where I think Stroud came in and he was just very technically sound. And I thought that did him really well as a rookie. The fact that he was good footwork. How many second read dimes did CJ Stroud throw as a rookie where you're like, man, that's advanced stuff. I think of all the quarterbacks in this draft, Gabriel might actually be most equipped to do that just from a technique standpoint.
Well, he's played more football heading into the NFL than any quarterback ever. Not like recently, ever. 63 games he started in college. That's the most in college football history. And he started since his true freshman year in high school, had the most passing yards in Hawaii history. So this guy has been in a high volume passing offense for a decade at this point. He really has a ton of reps under his belt, which, as we saw last year, that helps projecting and translating to the NFL.
More than Bo Nix. I mean, that was my joke last year.
Right.
Parcells asked for 30 starts from his NFL draft prospects, and Bo Nix did it twice. Dillon Gabriel has now done it twice, 30 starts twice. And we are in this, we overrate trends sometimes, but we are in this world where the experienced Brock Purdy, the experienced Jaden Daniels, the experienced quarterbacks are having some success early on. And I think it's easy to just look at that trend and say, maybe Dillon Gabriel's the next guy who, I would take a shot on, at least in the middle rounds for sure.
Yep. That's how I feel.
Any other wild QB takes that you have in there?
Not really. Other than that, I think if you are a team with an aging established starter, this is a great year to take a guy in like the third or the fourth. I think a lot of these guys have potential. A lot of these guys have like things to like about them that, if your starter goes down, it's worth taking the chance on in this class. Now, again, not doing a top 5 after Cam Ward, but if someone's sitting there on the board for me at pick 100 and I'm the Rams, I'm just like spitballing. I have no clue. I picked have them third round. I'm willing to take like a Tyler Shuck or someone like that just to see what happens if I get that guy in my room.
This seems to be a class for that, actually. Like the last few years, once we've gotten beyond the guys that you kind of like as potential starters, it's like I don't really want to pick any of these guys. Like I just don't see starter in the outcomes of any of these players ever. Whereas this group, it's actually like, okay, I don't love a lot of them, but there's quite a lot of guys where you can actually imagine a world where they become starters. They have the physical tools. They've got something, right? Chances are it won't happen, but at least like there seems to be a lot of those guys who are like, okay, as a developmental guy on day 3, I like to roll the dice in quite a lot of these guys.
100%. I completely agree with that. And it's unique in that regard. And that's, again, dissuading me when there's that many guys, dissuading me from taking one highly.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.